Okay, cool. Hi everyone, I'm Khrista Trovela. I'm a journalist for Global Girlhood, and today I'm here with Barbara Smith, and we're holding an interview with her for Black History Month, and also looking to her because she's an awesome person on Instagram who posts a lot of great messages about like social justice and everything like that. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Barbara Smith. I am a journalist by trade. In my when I'm working and things like that, I cover the food industry. So packaging, supply chain, what's new, what's old, things of that nature. Instagram was something I kind of took up in my spare time since I kind of just love writing and things like that. And racial justice has been like a huge part of my life, especially growing up and being in a lot of predominantly white spaces. When I'm kind of not either working or on Instagram, I spend a lot of time thrifting and just kind of when I lived in Arizona, I would go on a lot of hikes and things like that. And I love reading.
Nice, nice. So I do have a set of questions here. I'm just going to go in order with them. So the first question is pretty simple, also quite broad, but what empowers you? Or,
Um, I think kind of just the history and my lineage and just who I came from. My mom has been an amazing inspiration for me, along with the great village of Black women that she placed around me ever since I was young. They really have watched me grow up, and that inspires me to do better. So that way, if I do have kids, they don't have to face some of the same injustices that my grandmother and my mom and even I've seen. And I think not only that, but also just kind of the people around me, even if it's not just Black people. I was lucky enough, especially in college, to be around a lot of other POC, which is something I never got to do, and learn more about their experiences and things of that nature. And just kind of wanting to share more and understand that there's more of these common bonds than people realize.
yeah, that's pretty cool. It's nice to have like a whole community growing up as well, like shaping you and everything. And um, back home, I did not have a whole lot of people who looked like me. So going to college, it was like really nice to have another community here and everything. So that's cool that you grew up with like people you can relate to and who have different, the same backgrounds as you and everything. And this kind of relates to this question, but who do you consider your role models and like who do you look up to in general?
Um, Obviously, like I said, my mom, she has just not only encouraged me to be smart, be powerful, and kind of stand strong in my words, but just all around be a multifaceted woman, reminding me that there's nothing wrong with wanting to be beautiful and put myself out there, but also making sure that I stick to my studies and things of that nature. And I think on top of that, my friends, especially the ones I made in college, have been a huge inspiration and have pushed me and have been able to put me in roles that I never saw myself in. I wouldn't be half the journalist and have half the opportunities that I have now if it weren't for them really just pushing me, making me a better person all around.
Yeah. Mhm. Have your mom and your friends, have they encouraged you like in your writings when you were younger and stuff like that? And that's why you're a journalist today?
I think definitely, and I'll even say my dad for this one too. They both very much let me kind of experience and just play around and things like that. We traveled a lot and I got to see a lot of different things that way. I spent a lot of summers growing up in Mexico and immersing myself in other cultures. Obviously, growing up, I grew up right outside of Detroit, which is a minority majority city. So I was always around Black culture. But then on top of that, I grew up around a lot of Arab culture as well, which kind of helped open my eyes. They've always let me walk to the beat of my own drum and kind of do whatever I want, like within reason, but it just very much allowed me to express myself however I saw fit, which then allowed me to kind of, as I get older and come into my own, be around people who feel the same way. And I don't feel like I'm a carbon copy or anything like that. And that the people I'm around now, so my friends and my boyfriend, very much continue that line of just allowing me to be who I am.
Yeah, it's definitely great to be able to foster your passion in your occupation, like to be lucky enough to do that. So I'm glad that you're like writing and implementing that in your career and everything. Um, and then what does Black History Month mean to you?
I think it's a great month to highlight all that Black people are capable of. I feel like Black history should be talked about 365 days a year, but it doesn't help to have a month to really highlight and hone in and see all these great initiatives that can inspire people to kind of do the work and pick up the activism the other 11 months of the year. So I always say that it's a great starting ground, just like my content on Instagram. It's a great place to start, but there's always so much more to do that we don't hear about or that you can do in your own community on your own time.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I like that everyone's kind of like on the ball with it this month, but like all the rest of the year, it's good to kind of foster that and nurture that knowledge and educate yourself. And so, with that, why is it important for us to educate and re educate ourselves on topics like social justice to learn and like unlearn things as well?
I think the biggest thing is that history, if you don't learn from it, is gonna repeat itself. We've seen it time and time again. And even if it doesn't manifest itself in the same way, it's still gonna repeat itself in the same vein. So I think it's important to kind of see those things and tackle them head on. And like I said a little bit earlier, if I do have kids or even just the people around me who are younger, um, I want to make sure that they don't go through the same struggles and the same fights and stuff that I've had to go through,
Yeah.
only being 23 and having my entire career and most of my life still ahead of me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's really cool, especially to see a lot of like our generation, Gen Z, kind of jumping into it and not really making it like a sort of trend. I guess but it's out there in the world, and there are more and more people kind of joining the movement and realizing things and allowing themselves to look at different perspectives and allowing themselves to feel inspired. So yeah, it's definitely important to kind of go out there and try to have those like uncomfortable conversations and everything. So, um, do you have any advice for people who are looking to grow in allyship?
Just kind of do the research. I know, especially right now, mutual aid is gaining a lot of traction. And the cool thing about that is you can help as much or as little as you want. So even if it's something as like when you're going grocery shopping, picking up like maybe a couple extra soups or vegetables or just like hair care or something like that to kind of give to your local mutual aid so they have a few more things to give around. Um, or going that step further and actually like getting involved and becoming a volunteer or even maybe fridges and things like that or marches. There's so many different ways to get in touch and to get in tune and kind of plug in that can fit everyone's mediums, whether it is writing or it is kind of getting out there. There's just all different types of initiatives. So it doesn't really matter what you're interested in. It may take a little bit of digging and a little bit of kind of like going under each rock and each corner, but you can find something that'll help you get plugged in, but also aligns with your passions. You don't have to fit and be someone that you're not just to be an activist.
Yeah, that makes sense because I I've noticed that people are kind of just like trying to find their own role in the movement because there are people out there who are a lot more like vocal and into posting a lot of things, and then there are also people who are more going on a personal journey and not posting about it as much, or but still like keeping it top of mind basically, and always thinking about it and doing the readings and putting in the work in their own way, and just kind of finding your own like your own space in the whole movement of things. So, what do you think authentic activism looks like versus performative activism?
I always try to stay away from that just because I never know what someone's going through. I think most importantly, like there's a way definitely if someone's being silent or things like that, especially since people are on social media. So even if you're reposting other people's works, because you don't necessarily have to have an opinion on it, but there's a way to be like, "Oh, I agree with that," and share it and get it to the larger audience. So I don't think social media activism is performative. I think it's one of the best tools that we have right now to get messages out there. But I think most importantly is that what separates it is in your heart if you're doing it because you care or if you're doing it because you want other people to congratulate you. And that's what makes it performative or not. Not if you're going to the marches versus posting on social media, whether you're helping with mutual aid or retweeting people, that doesn't make a difference at all, is going toward this greater goal.
Mhm. And like you notice it a lot in social media where especially what is it called? There's like it's like the this you movement. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like people online accusing like their friends or other people or like big brands and companies that have all kind of tried to jump onto this social justice movement or that are just starting to or pushing it more. And then there's a lot of people out there who are just like accusing or canceling people or brands and stuff like that. So I think that's really cool to be able to look out for all of the social justice movement posts and everything, but also like have that sort of investment as well, as you were saying. Um, but yeah. Uh, what would you say is the most difficult thing about being both Black and a woman? And how do you find encouragement despite like going through these challenges that not a lot of people or other people might not be going through?
I think the biggest thing is that people are going to discount me just based off of the color of my skin and the fact that I'm a woman. I just got out of a super toxic work environment where my boss was very openly racist. And the thing is, the other people were at the same level as me. We had all worked for the same publications. We had all gone to similar schools. And while we all brought similar traits to the table, we also had very different ones. And he used those differences to further divide us. And so I think the biggest thing is there are people who are going to think that they're better than me just because they're white. There's no other reason, there's nothing else there. And I think I also just have to realize that I'm not going to be able to please everyone. I'm not here to please everyone. That's only going to make me break my back. So I think what keeps me going is that I know I have a circle of people around me, both those that I do know and don't know, that appreciate me and what I can bring in my differences and see my differences and listen to my experiences and want to grow and want to help and kind of not necessarily make a safe space, but just kind of be more inclusive and understand like, oh, maybe something I did in the past wasn't the most welcoming, or maybe I had good intent, but this might be a microaggression or things like that. So as long as I have those people around me, it doesn't really matter. And it's still something I struggle with. This isn't something that just happened overnight, but making sure that I take what people think about me, especially if it's negative, and just like let it roll off my back. I can't let it stop me from focusing on this greater goal.
Mhm. And it must definitely be difficult. I'm glad that you got out of that work environment. That must have been really hard. Were you there for a while or you kind of
I was a fellow. There were three of us. We had all previously worked at Reuters, which is like a huge deal in the journalism world, to get an internship there. So all three of us had worked there. All three of us had done extremely well. On top of that, we all came from great like journalism schools and just are good journalists. I'd worked, all three of us had worked together in the past. So we all knew each other and we were like, oh, this is super cool to get to work together again. And it's a 6 month fellowship. They either hire you at the end or they don't. Two of us were Black. One of the Black fellows left at the halfway point. He did let leave after making a mistake on his own accord, but he was told things by our editor like, you lack common sense. I don't think you're cut out for this, things of that nature. And he would say that to its face. And then the other fellow that I also became even closer with while I was there, she was always praised. She was given the best opportunities. And I was just somewhere in the middle,
Mhm.
and things like that. And so it was hard. It was a hard job. It wasn't fun. It became very difficult. I just didn't like waking up and going to work. So I'm happy I'm out of it, but it definitely taught me a lot about what I don't want in a boss.
Mhm. That's good to know what you want and don't want in your work environment to have that comfortable space and hopefully find another more inclusive space than that one was. So,
Yeah.
mm, um, let me see. What is something that you appreciate about being a woman or being a Black woman as well?
I think that I know I'm capable of anything that I put myself through. I know I can get through it. I know I can get over it. That really is one of my superpowers. And we can say black girl magic all we want, but there really is a beauty to it that is really hard to kind of put into words. But I see it as I grow as a person through my career, through my relationships, through my travels, and things of that nature.
Yeah, for sure. And like looking in the past and where we are now, we have a female vice president. That's so, so cool.
Yeah.
So hopefully we have more opportunities to break those barriers in the future, which I'm sure we will, and we're constantly working at it. So, and that's why we have this page
Yeah.
for to spread that message. Um, what are some books, podcasts, or other media that resonate with you, relate with you, or that you just love?
I'm not a huge podcast person, ironically enough. I only listen to the New York Times, The Daily, just to kind of like give me a rundown on the day. One that I do love is The Read. It is to LGBT kind of social commentary slash journalism type of podcast. They just kind of go down the week in terms of what's happened in pop culture and things like that. It's really lighthearted, but they also do give a lot of poignant um sort of insight, especially like after like the Capitol riots and after the election and things of that nature. So it is equal parts laughs and things like that. But when it's time to kind of get serious and talk about what has happened, they're able to do that as well.
Mhm.
As far as books, I've been so bad about reading since the start of the pandemic. Oh my goodness. I'm reading the autobiography of Gucci Mane right now, which is better than I thought it was going to be. All right. So I would actually suggest that if you kind of want to like get into a mind with someone like that, because he grew up obviously very different than me. I'm trying to think about what else. My goodness. Okay, my tiny bookshelf is behind me.
Oh, cute. It's like stuff.
Um, let's see. Um, America Like Me was a fantastic read. It is a bunch of celebrities who are first generation. They're all POC. America Ferrera like compiled it, but it's a ton of celebrities and they all kind of talk about what it was like growing up in the States. This one, I don't cry when I read books, but this book made me cry 10 times over.
Mhm.
And then also I'm a huge short story person. So I've been getting recently into like international short stories. So
Mhm.
a lot of Japanese authors have like really resonated with me. There's a certain beauty that comes with their writing and their stories. Penguin has a great like 500-page anthropology. I actually gave that to my boyfriend for his birthday because I was like, I think you'll love it.
Mhm.
Um, and then songs, I mean, really, there's a little bit of everything.
Oh my gosh. Are we good? I
I
think
think it froze, but I think it's good now.
okay, good. Because I was like desperately trying to see if my
No,
internet.
you're fine.
What were you
Take
saying about
your time.
songs? I don't know if it picked up.
Okay.
But
Basically, ever since I moved home, I've been listening to so much more R&B. I think it's been like tapping back into my childhood, but a lot of like Stevie Wonder and Nia Simone and Otis Redding, and just a lot of those artists who very much kind of not made it cool, but were very proud to be Black and things of that nature. So I've just absolutely been having a phase with them lately, and Marvin Gaye, even just a lot of those artists.
nice, nice. R&B is I like to listen to R&B a lot when I'm just like kind of in my room and just not
Yeah.
working. Let's see. Okay. So this is my last question. It's still recording, right? Okay, good. Um, any specific message you'd like to share with our GG community?
Just keep moving, just keep pushing. If you ever need advice, obviously this will be on Instagram. Feel free to reach out and I will always be willing to help. I know I'm not like a lot older than you guys, but a lot you would be surprised how much changes right after you graduate college. So use the people around you as sounding boards and things like that. But don't be afraid to reach out and just keep pushing. It really does take a village to grow and to prosper and things like that. Like there are always going to be people in your corner, even if you can't see them, even if they're not the people who are immediately around you, because I've been in that position before. So just make sure to garner a team and get people who are going to be your cheerleaders, and then use that positivity and those great words to kind of push yourself along for whatever you want to do. It helps a ton, and it really does make the impact that much bigger.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, thank you so much for having this interview with me. I'll keep you posted and everything, like I said. And it was really great speaking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for thinking of me.
Yeah, no problem. All right.
Alrighty, well, have a good day.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye.